Okay. These door panels do not go together. They belong to two different customers. As you can see, original appearance on both. This customer wanted vinyl for his upholstery, no stitching on the armrests. He has a crew cab. He's not doing the rear doors, and just, we don't want anything to stick out too much between front and rear, so armrest with no stitching. This customer, he has the same exact goal, except he wanted leather. There's nothing wrong with either choice. It's common for requests that we get that way, with or without leather. Is what it is. That's not the point we're getting at here, but it does play a factor into this. So, we give estimates. That's part of our process. We do not give fixed prices. We do not bring prices to our grave written in stone. We give estimates that we put a lot of thought into based on our experience over the years, looking at pictures of the customer's parts, going over the details, and no job is the same price as another job. That's the reality of it, and I don't believe in giving fixed pricing, because the best way to do that, or let me rephrase that, there would be three ways to do that. Number one would be to just aim high all the time. Fixed price, it is what it is, we're aiming high. If the parts end up being in average condition or really good condition, who's going to get screwed over there? And I'm going to go as far as saying screwed over, because it would be the customer. If we shoot high and say, yep, 30 hours, we've had jobs take 30 hours before, that's pretty rough, so we just charge 30 hours flat. Well, what happens if it takes 20 hours? That's over $1,000 worth of labor the customer shouldn't have had to spend. And sorry for my language, but that'd be fucked up. It really would. So then we can say, okay, well, let's just shoot low. So we charge 20 hours on a pair of door panels. And again, I'm using door panels as a really good example here because A, we're looking at them, and B, we do them all the time. But let's not forget, we do interior work from the roof to the floor. I don't care what vehicle it is, we do it. But if we shoot low, well, let's just say, we're talking about these here. Oh yeah, we've done them before for 20 hours. When they're in respectable shape, we charge 20. Well, what happens if they take 30 hours? We get screwed. We end up spending an extra 2 days worth of time on them. And I get to pay my helper. I get to pay the overhead on all that time. And the taxes on my helper's wages, because a lot of you know, a lot of you don't. Companies pay a good chunk of or they have a percentage of wages they have to pay taxes on. Not a percentage of the wages, but a tax percentage. And anyway, all this stuff that's overhead, because a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't. It's not free to operate. And that's that's all that lost time. That's not fair to the business. But it's not fair to the customer to do it the other way around. So you could meet in the middle and do average pricing. 25 hours flat. Let's meet in the middle because we're talking about 20 and 30 hours for our highs and lows, for example purposes. And what ends up happening there, in my own experience, I have never done average flat pricing like that. But a lot of customers request it. What they don't understand is one of two things is extremely likely to happen, and it's the two things I just said. Someone's going to get fucked. It's just not going to be as big of a number. I have been doing this a long time. I have owned this company for almost 10 years. I have been in the automotive industry for way longer than that. And doing this work specifically, interior restoration, especially working on a lot of the same types of stuff, there are very few times that I can remember where the price of two jobs that were the same exact job, like these here, where the prices were similar enough to justify an average fixed price. Because at the end of the day, what always comes down to it is, yep, that job had 4 hours more into it, this job had 3 hours less. Is it going to wash out at the end of the day? Probably, yeah, because they're going to wash each other out a little bit. But you also have to remember that you don't know how many of the same types of jobs you're going to get. We might not get another job like that, for conversational sake, for months or years, let's just say. So is that one really going to wash out to another similar job where we made money on? No. Well, then you can say other jobs do the same thing. It doesn't have to be the same type of job. But I have gone over multiple years worth of bookkeeping and invoices and hours tracking. And it's always come out, no matter how I do it, one of two ways. Over the course of a quarter of a year, we would have made thousands of dollars in profit off of work that was less hours that we charged an average fixed price on, ripping customers off. And there's other quarters where it's the complete opposite. And when I try to figure out if those wash each other out, they don't. They don't wash each other out clean enough to where I can justify it. Customers might not like this, but I prefer being very honest and transparent with them. If your parts are trashed, you're going to spend more money. It's that simple. And if your parts are in super good shape, why should you be spending money on if they were not in that good a condition? I am going to work with the customer. I am going to learn about their parts, their goals, the condition of their stuff, and all of those things. And the estimate that gets built will be tailored to their project and their goals and needs and all of that. And unfortunately, it's very common for customers to not want to talk about anything of their project. They want to talk about what somebody else did, what somebody else paid, and I'll ask them, well, yeah, we can do that. We can do that appearance goal, no problem. But what can you tell me about your stuff? Like, you say you want us to do a full interior, but then when I list out what includes a full interior, you actually just wanted door panels, but then we don't want to talk about the condition of the door panels. And no, I don't talk to the customer that way, with that type of tone. I'm just trying to get my point across in this video. But that's what's going through my head because that's what's actually happening. They don't want to talk about their stuff. They want to talk about somebody else's stuff. The moment I'm like, okay, cool, can you send some pics of your stuff or what's going on with your stuff? We can do that goal, but I'd really like to talk about what you have for parts and exactly what we're working on. And then they either, no joke, get fucking irritated about it, or you never hear from them again because talking about their project is a difficult thing for them. And these two panels here are just, they support everything of how we operate. And that's kind of why I'm kind of touching on everything, because we inspect parts, we catalog parts, we document everything for our sake and the customer's sake. I feel that it's really good for the customer because then they have records of everything that they've had done, because a lot of people like to keep that stuff. And also, if they go to sell that vehicle later, they can be like, hey, this shop such and such, this is the breakdown of all the stuff they've done to it, and here's all my other mechanical receipts from other shops. Like, a lot of people like that when buying. And we like it as a shop because I can always reflect back on things that we did, things we received, the condition we got them, before and after pictures. There's many reasons for documentation. And I'm thrilled that I have this opportunity right now to talk about these parts. The video's drug on for quite a few minutes. I've kind of been blabbering about stuff that some of y'all might find a little irrelevant, but it plays a part. Stay with me. These two jobs, as I described, had the same goal. One customer wanted leather, the other wanted vinyl. Original appearance, they were each a pair of door panels. The pair to this one and the pair to that one, they're on a shelf behind me. And they were pretty different in pricing. So the panel on the right here with leather, it had, again, all the common damages. You know, like, there was a crack from this hole here down to, it was about to here, I think. The normal stuff, this was broken, insert was broken, the material was holding it on like normal, because that's usually the case. And some other stuff, the brushing was all wore out, this is new. That type of stuff, we found it all, not a big deal. I estimated about 20 hours to do these things. About 25 hours to do those. and the customer approved, he was happy, we get skedaddling on the work, right? And that was after an in-person thorough inspection. Now, when we do inspections here, we're looking for hidden cracks, things that people don't know that they're there. We got real good at locating specific damages. We know what types of areas to look at, not specifically for these parts and for these parts, but you get to learn, like, okay, mounting areas where people might pull on or yank on it or kicked on it, all these types of things. You look at the part and you think about how it's used. And if you were in the vehicle and didn't give a shit about what was going on inside, because a lot of people don't, and what would break and where and why, you get to a point where you kind of have good insight of, like, okay, I'm going to look at all these types of areas for damage. And I don't care if it's a white stress mark that's not broken, we are taking care of that while it's here. It doesn't leave. If we know it exists, it don't leave. We have methods that find all sorts of hidden stuff that a lot of people don't find. I'm proud to say that. But I estimated 25 hours. These panels here looked like they were in slightly better condition. That's an understatement. They looked like they were in quite a bit better condition. A scale of 1 to 10, I considered these ones here probably like a 6. Those maybe about, I don't know, a 7.5 or an 8, excluding color fading. And for those, I had estimated about 20 hours. They looked pretty damn respectable for what they were, excluding the color fading. Now, what actually happens supports what happens almost every time we have panels that look as good as these ones did when we first got them. We have over 30 hours into those. We have 20 or 21 into these. So a few hours less into these, and a third or however you want to put it, an extra 10 hours into those, give or take. And that's wild. That is wild to think about. And what I'm trying to get at here is, just because the parts look really good when they're installed or you're looking at them on a shelf, it doesn't mean that it's going to be less work. Like I said, oftentimes we find a lot of hidden stuff, because these panels here, they had some of the common damages, but they weren't as severe as these. What I mean by that is, these here crack out a lot. Folks know that. This one here was a lot worse than this one. This was just starting. This was beyond starting. So that's what I mean by severe. Each individual piece of damage was less severe. But you know what happened with these ones? And it's what happens almost every single time that we get involved in the repair process with parts that looked amazing. We found nothing but micro crack, hairline fracture, whatever you would like to call it, things that were hidden, things we had to really hunt for, and we do hunt for them on everything we work on. So it's not like we just decided to go above and beyond on one job looking for even more stuff. We have a process and we stick to it on everything because it works and it's thorough. But this one, the results just kept coming. It didn't stop. An extra 10 hours from discovering and finding more stress points, microfractures, other little cracks, all that stuff. And I don't know why this is what it is, and I've said it a bunch of times here in the video, but I only find that it's chasing things like that nonstop on the parts that looked way better visually, standing back and looking at them like this before they're touched. The stuff with like the normal damages, but the individual damage areas themselves are worse than normal. I don't know why, but we don't end up finding a bunch of tiny stuff to chase. It's very strange. I hope one day I figure out why, but today I don't know. But I find that that's an excellent example to not trust what you might spend on restoration work just because of how it looks when you stand back a couple feet and take a glance. It gives a good idea of what you should, and I can't stress enough, what you should be able to somewhat expect. But that doesn't mean that's what's going to come true.